Lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. He missed the complete that. He's crazy.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Hello and welcome to Dover International Speedway for the 7th round of the 2016 iROC HPP Simulation Truck Series, and we are live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman, and alongside me in the booth is Tanner Sharp. Behind the scenes doing all the button pushing is our director, Joe Peak, and our camera sets are provided by Dougie Beard. Tanner, some love it, others hate it, but whatever your opinion, Dover International Speedway is certainly unique, and there's a reason they call it the Munster Mile, other than, of course, the statue of Richard Losbeth standing outside.
Yes, Dover International Speedway is a very unique racetrack. Personally, as a driver, I love it, but I hate driving it. But it's certainly a unique racetrack. It's different from any other racetrack on the NASCAR circuit. The reason being is because it's a 1 mile, 24 degrees of banking in the corners of the racetrack. It's a 1 mile course, and you're never even on this racetrack. You have 9 to 10 degrees of banking on the front stretch, and then you're going to 24 degrees of banking, and the only flat part is pit road. It's 100 laps tonight on this fixed setup evening with 60% fuel, so approximately 49 laps on fuel, about 1 to 2 pit stops depending on cautions and how much the tires wear. So Dover, I'm looking forward to this race. I'm expecting some cautions, but I'm expecting these guys to be struggling with the handling of these trucks.
Especially with the high track temperature out there. Hopefully these drivers will race the track more than the others in the early stages. We'll get some green flag running, and let's show you just how tricky this circuit is with our GSRC lap guide.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around Dover International Speedway in the GSRC Silverado. Dover is a whole lot of fun. It's definitely not your traditional 1 mile oval, so without further ado, here we go. Down the front stretch, going off into turn 1, you're going to use the brakes just a little bit, braking right about at that Dover sign on the wall. Let the truck set, back into the gas, then back off, because if you go into it too fast, you're going to push right up to that wall that's waiting for you on exit. Same into turn 3, brake at that insurance sign on the wall, let it float down, half throttle, 3/4 throttle, back to half, back to full, and out of the corner. Feels like you're getting rocket launched out of that corner. As the run progresses, you might see guys kind of do this sort of a line where they kind of diamond the corner off. Go in low, let it float up to the middle, and back off, because it really lets you get a good head of steam heading off the corners, and it keeps the truck a little bit more stable. Same in 3 and 4. Let it float up a little bit, find the bottom again, 3/4 gas, back into the throttle, coming out of that hole, out of turn 4, down the front stretch. And that completes your track guide around the Dover International Speedway. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
So, now you've got an idea of what the track is. You see the practice session finishing up with just 40 seconds left of practice. And let's talk about how close the times are in practice. The top 25 within 4/10 of another. The whole field within 8/10, but then again, it is a short lap around here. The drivers, meanwhile, do have a championship going on. They have a chase at the end of the season, and the driver leading them towards it right now is Jordan Eriksson. Now, this doesn't show that the wins that drivers have got. A win does lock you in, so Jordan Eriksson, Austin Meisler, Gary Whitson, Nick Cohan, and Aaron Kleinhans are all sitting in the top 20 in points with a win or two to their name. But then again, you also see other drivers like Alan Young and Robert Barney sitting pretty safe and high up in the points there. Just don't have that win yet. Maybe they could get today. Robert Barney was second fastest in practice.
Yeah, definitely, Sam. As I look at the point standings here, I'm seeing a lot of great drivers without a win yet this season. Some have came close, but man, oh man, it's going to be a tight battle today. I'm curious to see the guys who have wins take some kind of gamble. I mean, why not? You're locked into the chase, right? And the guys who don't have a win, they could try to gamble to try to get that win, but how much are you willing to gamble to make that risk when you don't have a win? That's what we're going to find out here today at Dover.
Feel free to give us your feedback during this broadcast. We are on YouTube and on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. We will try our best to get your questions answered, perhaps even on air. You see, qualifying has just begun now. Every driver has the track to themselves and they've got 5 minutes to put on 2 laps here at the Munster Mile, and we will see who walks away with the pole position. Right now, watching Jason Matzel using the high line to try and build up speed as it comes to take the green.
Yeah, definitely. Some drivers are going to try different lines on the racetrack. Usually the preferred line would be the bottom in the virtual world of iRacing compared to real life, where it's pretty much all over the place. And it's a different kind of racetrack because you're racing on concrete instead of asphalt. So, and it's kind of like a blown up Bristol, as you could say. So if you run good at Bristol, you're probably going to run good here. But as you can see, some guys are going to enter in high onto the racetrack, kind of let the truck coast, and then hit the gas and come towards the bottom of the racetrack on exit to get that nice run off.
And they all have a fixed setup that they're racing with, and I agree with you, Tanner, that the quickest way around is the bottom lane, but then also with the high track temperature, 108 degrees Fahrenheit right now, you run the risk of sliding up on exit or even sliding down there like Danny Rogers looked like he was doing, although I think maybe he was just finishing his run there. So sometimes, even though it's quicker to be on the bottom, you might want to run a lane up so you're not pinching your car down on exit as much and risk spinning around, because there are no fast repairs in this series.
Yeah, definitely, and that's what the challenges these guys are going to have to face today, is that coming on exit. That turn 2 corner is going to bite you, including turn 4, and you could hit that safer barrier. It just jumps out right at you. That's like Miles the Monster, who is the racetrack's mascot, can reach out and grab you just like that, and you won't even know it. So these guys are going to have to face the challenges as we do go for long green flag runs. You know, how quick the tires wear. You know, these guys are going to be probably running looser on exit.
Brody Hayes right now is fastest in qualifying. He put on the lap time faster by about 0.03 of a second than anything we saw during the practice session. All 31 trucks are in the session. They're all connected to the server and they all turn laps during practice. However, only 21 trucks, it looks like, are going to turn laps during qualifying. No one on track right now with just a little under 2 minutes left to go.
Yeah, no one on track right now, but I mean, some drivers who don't have or who have wins could probably play a gamble and just kind of start towards the back. But so far, only 21 drivers have qualified in this race today, and I'm ready to go racing. I'm just wondering how the tires are going to hold up, who's going to get looser on exit as the run goes on, who's going to try to play it conservative. A lot of questions need to be answered, and we will find out as this race continues.
We're going to wait a few extra seconds here to make sure no one's going to turn the late qualifying lap. Something notable, three of the 10 drivers who did not turn laps during qualifying were in the top 5 in practice. Josh Tanner, Michael Krobach and Troy Haight. And Michael Krobach is someone we're going to have to keep an eye on because he's usually a front runner. However, in the truck series, he has had to miss a few of the races due to other commitments, so he's not in the top 20 in points, so he really has to try and get some wins to his name, but right now it looks like he's going to have to do it from the back of the field if he's going to do it today.
Yeah, and Dover International Speedway is more about track position, if anything, because depending upon how hard you run here at this racetrack can determine whether you're going to go forward on a short run and go backwards on a short run, or play it conservative and on a longer run you can go forward. But we know Michael Krobach has a fast truck and actually has a fast car everywhere he goes every single week, no matter which series it is. So if he has the confidence to come from the back to the front, then I believe in him.
One driver who won't have to worry about that, at least at the start of this race, is Brody Hayes, because you see qualifying is just finishing right now, and no one is on track. Brody Hayes takes your pole position by 0.03 of a second over Jordan Erickson. Jordan was 15th fastest in practice, really had a good qualifying run there. Robert Barney lined up third alongside Jamie Moore, Jeffrey Belt and Grayson Matzel on the third row of the grid, and then Danny Rogers and Nick Cohan. Nick Cohan was fastest in practice, and he won a race 2 races ago and wasn't too far away last week, but got involved in some carnage. So I'll be keeping an eye on him, starting in 8th place there. Gary Whitson and Brian Yarzik round out the top 10.
And outside the top 10, starting in the 11th position tonight, is Tim Naughton in the number 41 truck. 12th place tonight is Sam Maxwell. 13th, Austin Missler. Alan Young will start 14th tonight. Jeffrey Gilliam will start in 16th. 17th position is Jonathan Holstein. 18th position is Bryce Whitson Jr. 19th place is Michael Koenig. And rounding out the top 20 is Edward Bray.
Curtis Aho in 21st, only 0.7 of a second behind Brody Hayes, but he is the slowest car who put on the qualifying time. However, he turned a lap half a second faster than that during practice, so expect him to work his way up into the top 20. And then behind him, the drivers that didn't qualify. Michael Krobach in 22nd, then we got Milt Matisse and Chris Drin, Josh Tanner and Troy Haight, Travis McQuistran and Jackie Palmore, Aaron Kleinhans, who has a win this season, and then Norm Pelletier and Tom Freitas will be starting from the rear of the field.
As these trucks are ready to go here tonight, these guys are wondering how the tires are going to play off. And according to the math here, it's about 49 laps on a tank of fuel on a 60% fuel load. So if we continue to go green, I wonder who's going to try to make the pit stop first. Who's going to try to short pit to try to gain the advantage on the cars ahead.
Of course, the 100-lap race, 49 laps on fuel, you almost wonder if everyone's going to stretch it to the halfway point if we stay green. However, although I'm hoping for a clean race here tonight, Tanner, I think with, you mentioned about Miles Munster just reaching out and grabbing these trucks into the wall, spinning downhill on the back straight or on the front straight, or tagging the wall over in the corners. We're not going to go green all the way, and that's nothing against the quality of this field. This is a very high quality field. It's just Dover.
Oh man, these drivers are definitely talented when it comes to the sim racing world, and they probably drive in real life too. So either way, one way or another, these drivers are talented, and this track can grab you and bite you. Miles the Monster is watching you tonight.
1 mile racetrack, so I believe we get 2 pace laps here at Dover, and all of the drivers, the pace car lights are usually off before the start of a race, whether it's one... Oh no, it is just 1 pace lap. Alright, great, we're going racing now. Brody Hayes about to lead the field to the green flag. He's got pole, he was 7th fastest in practice, but he has control of the field now. Green flag is in the air. Brody Hayes leads him away for the first of 100 laps at Dover International Speedway.
And what a jump by Brody Hayes got as he dives down into turn number 1. Meanwhile, Jordan Erickson has lost the 2nd position to Robert Barney in the number 16. Everybody trying to fan out, try to stretch it out just a little bit. There are some side-by-side battles going on. I believe it's for the 6th position.
A couple of drivers who qualified at the front actually elected to drop back in pit road and start at the rear. Danny Rogers is a driver I noticed done that. Michael Krobach as well, but he's starting near the rear anyway. So yeah, Brody Hayes leads, but Robert Barney has worked his way up to 2nd after starting in 3rd, costing Jordan Erickson the position. Most of the front of the field is single file, really no side-by-side action going on right now. Until you get back to 15th place. Here comes Jonathan Holstein underneath Mark Myers.
Well, here's a battle that I'm looking at that might be going on pretty soon, and that battle's between Jason Matzel and Gary Whitson. Gary Whitson getting a nice run on the exit of the corner of turn number 2. He's going to try to go down to the inside on Jason Matzel as they dive down into turn number 3.
You can already see just how much of a roller coaster racetrack this is and how the drivers are behaving. Of course, it's early on in the going though. Battle for 8th place. Brian Jarzik moves up by Jason Metzel. And behind them, Tim Knott will be in 10th place. He might be looking for a move on Metzel very soon.
Ryan Yazik is going to be a driver I'm going to watch on today. He is due for a win. He came pretty close last week at the Kansas Speedway in a different series. But man, oh man, we know he can get it done. It's just a matter of dodging the bad luck and try to stay up front to capture that win.
But the biggest move in the top 10 right now has been Nick Cohan. He's up 3 positions since the start of this race, and that's even with the fact that he started on the outside in 8th place, and now he's up to 5th and looking on Jeffrey Belt for 4th. Not going to happen this time around.
Yeah, Nick Cohan was the fastest car in the practice session, and he qualified in the 8th position tonight. He was only 2/10 slower than his practice time, which pretty much put him in the 8th position. But right now, he's looking under the number 67 of Jeffrey Bell. He should be able to clear him coming off turn number 4.
And already the shortness of this track, we have put 6 laps on the board. Meanwhile, Bryce Whitson, the driver that sometimes we're used to seeing racing up front, not having a great season this year, he just dropped back from 20th to 22nd position, not having fun back early on. And the problem is with these fixed setup races, if you don't like the handling of your truck, there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
No, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. It is a fixed setup session, which means you cannot touch anything on the truck whatsoever, not even a tire pressure or a track bar. You are stuck with what you got, and you just got to try to run out there and make the best of it. And that's what Bryce is trying to do. Maybe he doesn't like the handling of the truck as of right now, and hopefully it'll come to him as the run goes on. Oh, they're wrecking on the backstretch. Number 34, I think that's Michael Koenig.
Yeah, Michael Koenig hits the 34. The caution flies. He slides down, gets hit one more time by Norm Pelletier. Went 9 laps for the first 8 laps before the first caution flew here. And we'll see what happened to Michael Koenig coming out of turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, Danny Rogers was on the outside lane, and he kind of pinched the number 4 of Danny Rogers on that outside towards the wall, and that's what the collision hit. And number 56, Norm Pelletier, an innocent bystander in that. He is starting to smoke his engine. That's a bad way to go out here today, but very unfortunate for those guys right there.
Alright, the field working their way down the back straight right now. I should imagine they'll all be coming into the pits. We'll get one final view of this incident before that takes place. And probably wouldn't have been as bad of an incident if Norm Pelletier didn't come in with a late hit. The problem is, Dover's a self-cleaning racetrack. If an incident happens up high, it goes down low. And Norm Pelletier tried to go down low, and that's where the incident went.
Definitely, it's hard to try to get these trucks wound down, because if you get on the brakes too much, the truck can spin out by itself, as we have everybody coming down pit road for pit stops.
Not too surprising, we're 10 laps in. The drivers should all be able to make it to the end on one more stop now. Now, Brody Hayes leads them in. He's got a bit of a gap over Robert Barney, who started in 3rd place and is up into 2nd place. And Hayes will also have that desired front pit stall. The big question, I think, is going to be who's going to take 2 tires. See, some drivers staying out right now, but they should be down within the next lap or 2.
Yeah, definitely. There. Oh, number 67, Jeffrey Belt, overshooting, or actually maybe undershot his pit stall. Number 21, Nick Cohan, is actually going to go for a 2-tire pit stop, as Brody Hayes will go for a 4-tire pit stop. He beats Nick Cohan out of pit road.
No, I think Hayes was 2 tires as well, because he beat everyone off of pit road by a monster mile. The 3 drivers, I mentioned the 3 drivers who stayed out, Michael Krobach, Tom Freitas and Chris Drin. I almost wonder if Krobach's actually not going to pit at all. I think Freitas and Jim might come in, but Krobach is usually a driver, we're used to seeing him play strategy calls like this, and we know he has the pace to stay up front. He got an EOL at the start of a race, actually forced him to start at the back of the field, and sure enough, you see Krobach staying out while Freitas and Jing come in, so Krobach will lead Hayes back to the green.
And you are correct, Sam. I misinformed everybody, all the viewers out there. Brody Hayes did get the 2-tire pit stop along with Nick Cohan, but I just wonder how, with these tires here at Dover, how much the tire wear is. Is that going to be a good strategy call? Because in my point of view, just in my opinion, that I think he's begging on an early caution to where he can get 4 fresh tires and pit with the rest of the field. But let's just see how long Michael Krobach in that number 7 can last out there.
Yeah, I think he'll do alright. He'll have that clean air on him. Brody Hayes, I mean, I can only imagine that coming down pit road with the lead, he must think that tyre wear's okay, because otherwise he wouldn't have a lot to lose by taking 4 tyres. Yes, he'd lose a few positions, but if he thought tyre wear was bad, then he would have taken 4 tyres, knowing that he would have been able to get those positions back on the next run. However, I've got to wonder, he must be thinking tyre wear's not that bad to make a call like that and come down pit road with the lead.
Definitely, and he doesn't even have a win yet this season, according to the standings here. And, oh man, you got a very good point there, Sam. So if tire wear is not that bad here to where you can take 2 tires, and keep in mind we only ran 10 laps, and I know the tire wear has been increased in the past, but who knows, maybe it's not that bad. I could be wrong again.
Michael Koenig and Norm Pelletier, the 2 drivers who hit hard to bring out the first caution, and Norm Pelletier, an innocent bystander really, they have now retired from the race. That takes us from 31 down to 29 trucks. All 29 trucks so left in the race are still on the lead lap, and the pace car lights are off, so Krobach is getting ready to lead the field back to green here on lap 13.
Yeah, definitely Michael Krobach, Brody Hayes, Nick Cohan, Gary Whitson, and Robert Barney, your top 5. But the drivers I think who will crack the top 5 today is one of them being Brian Yazik. I mean, he's been fast. I mean, he was 13th fastest in practice, and he was not that much off the race of the fastest car, which was a 10th off. So that's the biggest gap between 1st and 13th in practice. So I look for Brian Yazik to enter the top 5 soon.
Well, he's only just outside right now in 7th place. The inside line is a lane that's been getting good restarts all day long. Krobach going to try and lead them back to another one. Of course, we'll be paying attention to see if any of these drivers spin their tyres with those old tyres. Nick Cohan has used a 2-tyre strategy to get himself up to the front, restart in 3rd place there. Pace car is off, green flag is out. Michael Krobach gets a good restart, as does everyone else behind him.
Oh man, the truck that got a really good restart. Oh, they're wrecking in the back on the front stretch. Huge pileup.
Yeah, that's a problem with the walls around here. Alan Young sliding upside down as he goes down the racetrack. A lot of trucks wadded up in this one.
Holy cow, what happened there? It was like a Talladega wreck there, Sam. Holy macaroni.
Yeah, well, there's not a whole lot of room between the walls on the inside and the outside. Let's see, I know Curtis Aho was involved. He's the most recognisable truck from this overhead view. However, I think a wreck started before him.
Let's see here. I'm just trying to play this in the slow motion on my end here, ladies and gentlemen, to see, to diagnose what really actually happened here. Number 15, Brian Yazik got turned. Oh no! And that I made a good comment about him trying to get up to the front because he had a pretty fast truck. Oh man, that was about half the field right there.
Yeah, and that's Saren Kleinhans in the green truck there. The green and blue truck on the apron is Curtis Aho. A lot of trucks coming down pit road for repairs. The lead does stay out. I think that 24 truck in front, Alan Young, was the driver you saw sliding on his door. He would have gone upside down, but got hit by a truck late on in the incident that put him back on his wheels.
Oh wow, what a stack up this is. Aho's just like, where do I go? Where do I go? Where's the hole? There's the hole, but oh. It's very unfortunate for them guys right there.
So, Krobach, meanwhile, the leader's got a good restart, and honestly, had that incident happen with Yazik, it looked like it would have been a clean restart all the way through. I am a bit concerned that some drivers will spin their tyres late on in the restarts of this race, but it didn't happen that time. Something else did. Grobok will lead the field back to green. When we come back, we're going to take a quick break here on the GSRC. Nick Cohan and Brody Hayes will line up behind him. Two cautions in the first 18 laps here, but Michael Crowbock's about to try and lead them back to the field. Only 17 trucks left on the lead lap after a pile-up on the last restart. Nick Cohan will restart in second place on the outside, but from what we've seen tonight, Tanner, it's actually the drive in third who seems to be getting second position by the time they get into turn one.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the advantage, actually. That inside road technically has the advantage, and the most disadvantaged car is the car on the outside sitting in second place, because you kind of got to lay back just a little bit to see where the race leader is, because you can't beat the race leader to the line, otherwise the iRacing service black flags you. So you just got to pay attention when the leader goes and hope for the best, and usually here at Dover, that inside road just gets a great run.
Let's see if it does again. Crowbock about to lead the field back to green. The pace car is in. They're coming around to complete the 18th lap of this race. Here they come, up to the front straight on these old tyres. Crowbock accelerates away. No wheel spin though, but a good restart by Cohan. He will be battling Hayes for that second spot as they go through turns 1 and 2.
As we just documented, that inside road gets a good jump when the leader goes. But look behind, Brody Hayes has got a huge run on Michael Crowbock. He is looking towards the inside, down turn number 3, side by side, and no challenge there.
Yeah, well, this is Crowbock's zero tyres hurting him right now. But he had to start at the back of a field, and had he taken 4 tyres under that last caution, or had he came down pit road under the first round of pit stops, he may have gotten caught up in that big wreck. Meanwhile, Gabby Whitson in the wall as they go down the back straight. He's losing a couple positions.
Yeah, you don't want to hit the wall here at Dover, because it's like the truck connected to the wall is like a magnet, and it just sticks there, and you gotta try to shake the steering wheel and try to get it off, and you're trying to do that without hitting everybody else. But who washed up the track towards turn number 1 there? Michael Crowbock still falling back on the mold tires.
Jamie Moore was the driver you saw washing up, and that will cost him a couple positions. I think Jamie was a late drive into the practice session, so I don't know if he's had as much time to get his truck under him. However, it seems like one of the biggest factors of this race has already came into play, Tanner, with that pile-up. I mean, I saw a lot of hits. I didn't think some of the trucks would be that badly damaged in them. 17 trucks on the lead lap. We're going to see some underdogs come away with the top 10 finish tonight.
Yeah, if they're hanging out in the way back and not involved in that big incident down in turn number 1, man, then they got a good advantage to try to get a good top 10 finish. Meanwhile, Nick Cohan, he has been gaining some on Brody Hayes for the leaders, but he hasn't quite gotten side by side with him. What he's trying to do, he's trying to set up the corners to where he can get a nice run on exit, and if he gets a nice run on exit, he can get side by side on a straight.
Yeah, you got two drivers who definitely want to win here. Brody Hayes, because he doesn't have one yet this season. Nick Cohan does, but he thought he might have been able to walk away with the second one last week. And after being fastest in practice, he's got to be thinking about that W here right now. So, it will be interesting to see how those two race tonight, and if they get caught up in any mess. Robert Barney, sitting in third place, doesn't have a win yet this season. You see a lot of two-wide battles going on throughout the track right now on lap 25.
Jordan Erickson going underneath Curtis Aho, who is two laps down right now. So it's not for position. Robert Barney in the wall, hard into the outside wall in turn number 3.
And he's going to bring it to a halt. So I'm not sure the officials will like that. And that does bring the caution out on lap 25. I mean, I say that, but perhaps he could argue that his truck is just not handling whatsoever, and that he would have brought the argument he's going to make if that incident. Oh, it's a hardware failure. That's why he had to stop. Okay, my apologies to Robert Barney there.
Yeah, because entering that corner, Sam, those wheels never turned. It just went straight into the wall. So it may have been a hardware failure to the steering wheel or his computer or some kind of hardware failure to cause that. So that's very unfortunate for Robert Barney.
Meanwhile, the battle we've been watching between Hayes and Cohan for the lead. Let's see if it gets resolved on pit road here. Brody Hayes comes in with the advantage. Or does he come in with a disadvantage, as Robert Barney's lost the connection, so maybe it was an internet failure that's put him out there. But Brody Hayes and Nick Cohan both took 2 tyres on the first round of stops. Does that mean they're going to have to take 4 tyres here? Brody Hayes does have that desired first pit stall, but I'm wondering if a driver who took 4 tyres on the first round of stop will take 2 tyres this time.
Oh yeah, the driver that definitely took 4 tires this time by was Michael Krobach. He was in the 6th position at the time of caution, and he gained a position due to the Robert Barney incident in turn number 3. So that's going to help out Michael Krobach here, as he did take 4 tires. Now he can race competitive and go for a win.
Yeah, great strategy call for the drivers who took 2 and 0 tyres on the first round of pit stops, because they were able, because of the quick cautions, they were able to not lose that many positions, and so they have worked their way up front. Nick Cohan was started in 8th place, but has now worked his way up to 2nd, and as you mentioned, Michael Krobach started at the back of the field, has worked his way up to 5th.
Got some drivers coming down pit road from the previous wreck down in turn number 1, coming down pit road to repair some more of the damage. See the Jackie Palmore stayed out to try to lead to get a bonus point. He's down to his pit stall now, getting 4 fresh tires, repairing some damage on that thing.
Yes, gonna be not a whole lot changed up front for this restart.
No,
the
definitely not a whole lot. Yeah, definitely not a lot change.
Yeah, the other driver who's going to be mixing up with them is Gary Whitson, who we saw in the wall earlier, but he's actually going to be restarting in 4th place. Meanwhile, Robert Barney is reconnected to the server. He's already lost 2 laps, so he'll probably lose a couple more.
Yeah, Gary Whitson, he may have just brushed a wall or maybe just kissed it. Not enough to really affect the performance of that number 13. But right now he's in the top 5, and he's going to really have a really good test right here to see how strong his truck is. He's up there in the 4th position, and Michael Krobach just got around him. I wonder if they're just playing games on the racetrack here. But yeah, he should be starting in the 4th position by the time we go green.
And the second best place to restart all race long has been 3rd position, and that's where Jordan Erickson finds himself in now. And if he does take 2nd from Nick Cohan heading into the first turn, we will see Brody Hayes and Jordan Erickson in positions 1 and 2. That is the way they started this race. The lights off on the pace car. We will restart at the completion of lap 29.
And not to put the commentator's curse on anybody, but Jordan Erickson has been bad fast every single week in this series. There has been 6 races already. He already notched up 2 wins, and he's got 4 top 5s and 4 top 10s. So he's been pretty solid running into the top 10 and top 5 each week.
Yeah, he also has the lowest average incidence of anyone in the top 10. Only 1.5 incidents per race. Everyone else in the top 20 in points has at least 3 incident points per race on average. So he's been keeping his truck clean. Right now that's gotten him up to 3rd place there, but he's got a couple of tough nuts ahead of him. Brody Hayes and Nick Cohan in positions 1 and 2. Ford Mustang pace car about to peel off. Hayes will have control of the field as they go back to green. Who will be in 2nd place when they get into turn 1 as the field comes out onto the front straight here, and soon enough there goes Hayes. Here we go, we're back green flag racing.
And there's the advantage to the 3rd place car of Jordan Erickson as these drivers head down in turn number 1. There's a side-by-side battle for 2nd place. Nick Cohan trying to fight him off, but it's not going to work. Jordan Erickson to 2nd.
Seeing a bit of damage on the rear spoiler of Hayes. I think he may have gotten rear-ended when they came down pit road one time. I wonder how much that will hurt him. Will that help Jordan Erickson take a lead here? He's certainly thinking about it.
Oh yeah, he's got the left rear quarter panel in there. He's going to try to dive down turn number one, and right now he's trying to get side by side with him. Almost make contact. He kind of got pinched down there just a little bit, but that's going to give the advantage to Nick Cohan.
Yeah, so Jordan Erickson goes from looking for the lead all the way back to 3rd place. Meanwhile, these top...
Number 80 truck loose coming off turn number 4. Believe that was Jamie Moore?
Jamie Moore's number 20 truck. Michael Crowbock. Meanwhile, the top 3 have broke away from the 2nd pack. Michael Crowbock just worked his way up to 4th by Gary Whitson, who's dropped back to 6th now. Jason Matzel breaks his way into the top 5, so Gary Whitson going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I wonder, I wouldn't think that damage, or I should say when he scraped the wall on the backstretch there earlier, I wouldn't think that would affect him too much, but if it is, man, then the aerodynamics at Dover are surprisingly a big factor.
Alright, I think we can tell what happened. Oh, as Gary Whitson gets quite close to Jeffrey Belt there. I think we can tell what happened, Tanner, because Jamie Moore has just voiced some displeasure in the chat over Danny Rogers. So I'm wondering if when you saw Jamie Moore up towards the wall, if he may have gotten a bit of help to get him up there.
Yeah, I've called out the wrong car number. He's not number 20, actually, and I just seen him get really loose. He kind of like a punt out of the way, but I wasn't sure if there's any contact between the two. But I just seen a car go washing way high above the racetrack. Normal, more than unusual up there, and there's really not a groove on that high side up there. So, close calls, though.
15 trucks still on the lead lap. The last of them right now is Jackie Palmore. We saw him pitting late under the last caution. But the first of them right now is Brody Hayes. And I'll tell you what, ever since Jordan Erickson got pinched and fell back to 3rd place, he hasn't really challenged Cohan for 2nd, although, as I say that, he actually gets very close to his rear spoiler as they go through turns 1 and 2 this time around.
Yeah, it looks like he lost a little ground and coming off turn number 2 there. He looks like he's good on entry, but Cohan gets him good on exit. So that's something we're just going to have to watch here, and not too far behind is Michael Krobach.
And with all the damaged trucks out there, lap traffic will start playing a factor now. The leaders are catching up with Aaron Cleanhans, who is running in 23rd position, 16 laps down with a bit of damage to that 85 machine. Aaron already has a win to his name this season, but trying to remain in the top 20 in points to make sure that win will get him in the chase as the leaders go by him on the front straight.
A battle brewing up here for the 6th position right now. That's Jeffrey Belt and Gary Whitson. They were side by side down in turn number 3 and 4, but now down turns number 1 and 2. Looks like Jeffrey Belt's going to get him on complete exit. They're still side by side actually battling for the 6th position. Now he cleared them.
Yeah, well, Gary Whitson, we saw him brush a wall early in the race, and also he only qualified in 9th place, and he was 8th fastest in practice. So maybe top 5 was a little out of what he could be expecting for today, especially with that track on his with damage on his truck. Meanwhile, his cousin Bryce Whitson was one of the drivers caught up in that multi-truck incident on the second restart. He is one of the drivers still in the pits getting repairs, as are Sam Maxwell, Alan Young, and Jonathan Holstein. Troy Haight, Norm Pelletier, Michael Koenig, and Travis McQueestron have all retired from the race.
I've been keeping an eye on some guys that were involved in that incident there, Sam, and the driver I'm keeping an eye on still is Brian Yazik, currently in the 11th position, trying to make up some more ground on a clean truck ahead of him. That is Jeffrey Gilliam, who is in the 10th position, so one more position and you're back in the top 10.
Yeah, but they're going to have to watch out for the lap truck of Aaron Cleanharms here, because he's really trying to not lose that much time, that many laps. Even though he's multiple laps down, he has every right to still turn laps out there, and Aaron has the experience. You would think he shouldn't become a danger to any of these other drivers out there. We haven't really talked much about Josh Tanner in 9th place and Jeffrey Gilliam in 10th. Jeffrey Gilliam, you mentioned his truck is clean. Josh Tanner running in 9th position, he can not say the same. Looks like he's got a bit of damage to the front end, but holding up pretty well there in 9th place right now.
Yeah, some damage is affecting these trucks to not go as fast on the straightaways as everybody else. As you can see, Danny Rogers is just ahead of him, who's getting really close to Gary Whitson. Don't believe that. Oh yeah, that is 4th position right there, and this is 4th position. Josh Tanner and Danny Rogers. Oh, we have another car in the wall. It's Jamie Moore again, entering turn number 1.
Yeah, whenever you have one incident, it's very easy to get involved in the second one. You don't really get that close to the wall when you hit your marks here, Tanner, but as soon as you miss your marks, and having damage on your truck can certainly contribute to that, you sometimes just slide up, and all the way to that wall.
Yeah, definitely, and if you don't hit your marks correctly here at Dover, especially when you're racing side by side and understanding where the other person is right next to you, you can produce great racing. But when you just make one mistake, one little mistake...
Oh, I'm sorry! Cohan sliding out of control. He was in 2nd, he drops back to 4th, he drops back to 5th. How did he save it? And I think something that helped him save it was I think he actually hit Jordan Erickson and Michael Crowbar because he was dropping back. See, here he is running 2nd. We'll wait and see if he gets any help here. It looks like he may have done. Jordan Erickson down to the inside. And maybe he didn't, but I think he got into these two drivers on the exit of turn 4.
Oh, yeah.
How did he not wreck it?
Oh, wow, yeah. He looks like he kind of clipped the right rear quarter panel of Jordan Erickson there, and he realized that and kind of had to hit the wall there to try to avoid wrecking him, and that was some great driving by Nick Cohen. Wow. He didn't lose a lot of positions there, Sam.
No, he's got back to 6th now. He probably does have a bit of damage on his truck that's hurting him now. It's moved Jeffrey Belt up into the top 5. Jason Matzel in 4th didn't get any piece of that incident. Michael Krobach in 3rd and Jordan Erickson in 2nd did, but I don't think it's hurt Erickson that much, because he is currently running down Brody Hayes for the lead.
Yeah, definitely, Jordan Erickson has been catching. That was 2/10 gain this time by for Jordan Erickson, so he is gaining on Brody Hayes. Meanwhile, all you Bryce Whitson fans out there, he has manually disconnected from the racing server, pretty much parking his truck into the garage or putting on the hauler for the remainder of the race. So that's very unfortunate for Bryce Whitson.
And you also saw Tom Freitas making his way back into the pits. Must have some damage to that machine, which is unfortunate. He was running 18th place, which usually wouldn't be a great night. But today, if you made it through the incidents, he's only 3 laps down, so he wasn't doing too bad out there. Because, heck, that big one happened on one restart. It could certainly happen again.
Oh,
meanwhile, yeah, Hayes just ate up Pelmore on the exit of 4.
Caught him at the wrong time here at Dover, and the wrong time is catching a lap car on the complete exit of the corner. I mean, you could say, hey, you gotta get out of the way, lap car, but he's doing everything he can, just running his race. But it's just a matter.
Yeah, Josh Tanner going to Gary Whitson. Gary Whitson did a nice job to not collect the wall coming out of turn 2, but he's losing a lot of time.
Oh man, we're beating and banging all over Dover here today.
Not the track you want to beat and ban on. There's not a lot of trip out here.
Oh yeah, definitely. This track, you don't really want to beat and bang here. Maybe at a short track of kind of like this, like Bristol, for example, you can, trade some paint, beat and bang off each other. But here at Dover, it's a little more aerodynamic sensitive.
Yeah, Brody Hayes, though, in the lead has damage on him. Jordan Erickson in second probably has a bit of damage from when we saw Nick Cohan have his moment. But Erickson, I guess, doesn't have as much damage, or maybe Hayes has burned off his tyres, because there you see him all over the rear of leader now.
Holy cow, we got a big stack up back here with Gary Whitson. It had nothing to do with Gary Whitson, but these guys you can fold them over a blanket. They're kind of all over each other here, trying to gain what they can. Nick Cohan slipping back, probably going to lose a position from Gary Whitson. As not too far behind, you have Danny Rogers right ahead of him, Brian Yazek, Jeffrey Gilliam. These guys are racing pretty hard back here.
Yeah, and
they're stacking up a little bit. To get on the brakes just to avoid hitting each other.
Yeah, Nick Cohan's dropping back because of that damage, obviously. Gary Whitson has a bit of damage too. Yazik, we saw what happened to him earlier. Danny Rogers has been involved in the wars a little bit, and actually Rogers and Yazik almost look like they came together there.
Yeah.
Keeping an eye on this battle for the lead. Erickson's looking on the inside, but he just can't do anything with it. Hayes is getting the run on the exit. They're very close coming out of turn 4, almost spanning fenders.
Side by side, down entering turn number 1. You got Jordan Erickson, who washes up the racetrack just a little bit by clipping the apron on the entry of the corner, and he will not get the lead from Brody Hayes.
Lead lap car into the pits, Josh Tanner. Now I wonder if that's for damage or if he's short pitting and trying to make it to the end of a race. The last caution these drivers had was on lap 25. But, and they all came down into the pits on that caution.
Well, the last time these guys went down pit road, was approximately 29 to 30 laps ago there, Sam. So these guys are probably short pitting just a little bit.
Yeah, because they can't make it another 20 laps or so. Boy, this battle for the lead. Ericsson getting a bit wobbly out of turn 4 there. I wonder if he had to get out of a gas pedal, if he got a bit too close to Hayes. And sometimes when you roll out of a gas, it can unsettle your car, Tanner, because of a change in weight distribution.
Yeah, it definitely can, and we got a hard battle back here for the 7th position. Brian Yazek and Danny Rogers, they've been going after it for a couple of laps, and they got a bunch of cars right behind them you can fold over a blanket on.
Yeah, and some of those drivers are really moving up. Jamie Moore just moved up into 9th place from 10th, and Jeffrey Gilliam, his name's entering the picture now in 11th. Robert Barney, you see him at the end of that pack. Remember, he lost a few laps a little while ago. He had been running in 3rd place. He's a few laps down because of losing the internet connection.
Yeah, losing the internet connection and probably some hardware issue.
I'm sorry. I think Ericsson might have a lead this time. No, he doesn't. Get back here. They're still running side by side for this lead.
Jordan Erickson doing everything he can to try to get the lead away from Brody Hayes. He might get him here coming off turn number 4. Let's see if Brody Hayes will fight back. And to the line. And it was Brody Hayes. Wow.
I would say that these drivers are really burning off their tires, but the fact of the matter is they have a huge lead. They made contact!
Contact! Jordan Erickson spinning towards the infield. He's going to slide right back up. Yes, he will. This will bring out a caution, and another driver got a piece of Jordan Erickson, I believe.
Maybe.
Was that Krobach?
Could have been. He was a driver running in 3rd. That brings out the caution on lap 60 here. You say there's 9 degrees of banking on that back straight. It doesn't look like it. You don't hold the wheel straight on the back straight, and sometimes you just hold it at the tiniest of the run angles. He was lucky not to slide up more than what he did. Who gets him?
Yeah, it was number 84 of Josh Tanner that just clipped him.
And Josh Tanner was the lead lap truck that came down to try and either short pit or maybe add some damage. What we do know is all of the leaders are going to be down pit road under this caution, probably for the final time today. In fact, Hayes is leading them in now, and after a long run like that, every driver's going to be taking 4 tyres, and probably every driver's going to be getting a bit of repairs too.
Yeah, and some drivers are going to be shaking their fists at each other. But although, in my opinion, that was just some great hard racing from both of those drivers. I mean, I tip my hat to both of them.
Hayes leads them in. He has a desired pit stall. Gonna watch what happened one more time with how close Tanner got to the incident here.
Sparks came apart between the two trucks. Oh, yeah, that's get jumpy there.
So Hayes leads the field in, takes 4 tires. Does he beat Krobach out? I think he did, just by a nose.
Robox on it today, baby. Man, oh man.
Well, he probably got that EOL penalty at the start of a race just for simply missing a bunch of races. And, man, he made a good strategy call early on in the race to get him up front. Whoa, drivers coming in hot and heavy at the back of the picture there. Don't run into each other under caution. We've seen that happen before.
Yeah, I think that was Jeffrey Belt getting hard on the brakes, just trying to avoid hitting somebody under caution here. Meanwhile, everybody ahead of the current race leaders, I see Curtis Aho is going to stay up, maybe take a wave around. Meanwhile, when we cycle on through, it should be Brody Hayes and Michael Krobach.
Yeah, and Curtis Aho is 1 lap down. The 2 drivers in front of him, Edward Bray is 3 laps down, and Josh Tanner is 1 lap down. No. Okay, Josh Tanner is actually 2 laps down. Well, he's 1 lap down now, but he's on the tail end of being 1 lap down. Whereas Curtis Aho is essentially 1 lap down, but not really now. He's on the tail end of the lead lap, and he'll get waved around the pace car when that happens in about a couple laps here.
Yeah, actually, Josh Tanner's gonna stay a lap down here, so he will be trying to fighting for that lucky dog position, as Curtis Aho probably gonna get the wave around here. So the way this should cycle out here, Sam, if we do get another caution, Josh Tanner, providing he does not get involved in another incident by scraping the wall or making any car contact, he will get the lucky dog the next time we get a caution, because behind him for position is Robert Barney, who is 17th position, 3 laps down.
So let's give a shout out to Jason Matzel now, because he'll be restarting in 3rd place, and we've seen all night long that 3rd place is the 2nd best position to restart in, because you're usually in 2nd by the time you get around to the back straight. But that being said, we haven't seen Michael Krobach restart 2nd today, and Krobach's very fast. Will he be able to put up a fight against Matzel here as the pace car lights go off? There go the drivers getting their wave arounds.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be really tricky to try to stick with the leader on a restart or start of a race. So, and that gives the advantage to the 3rd place car. So Michael Krobach's got his work cut out for him. He started back in 22nd position, stayed out under caution, lost a whole bunch of positions, and he actually was the leader for quite some time because of that incident down turn number 1. So Michael Krobach has put himself in a position to where he can win this race today, and the way it looked, he wasn't really gaining on anybody on that longer run. So we'll just have to see what happens here when we go green.
We will go green with 37 laps left to go. Will we have another caution? Probably. I mean, even that green flag run there was only about 30 laps long. We're about to find out, as Brody Hayes, well, the pace car leads him through turn 3 and 4, but Brody Hayes is the first race car on track, followed by Michael Krobach, Jason Matzel, Jeffrey Belt, Jordan Erickson, and Brian Jarzik land 6th position. Pace car is off. Hayes has control of the field. When's he gonna go? He'll probably wait until he gets to the straight part. He's still not on the gas yet. Now he is, and Hayes leads them back to green. Good start by Krobach.
Wow, Jason Mantell spun the tires and went up the racetrack to stop the run from Jeffrey Belt. Jeffrey Belt had to get on the brakes just a little bit to avoid hitting him. That could have been big, but wow, that's the first time. Oh, Jeffrey Belt hit the wall.
Not a good restart for the drivers on the outside then. The drivers on the outside lane, but that means the drivers on the inside lane, such as Jordan Erickson, has moved up. Jordan Erickson taking 3rd position away from Jason Matzel now.
Meanwhile, not too far behind, that's Gary Whitson stuck on that high side. He's been under attack from several cars. Oh, Danny Rogers hits the wall, gets really loose, saves it. Man, oh man, these guys are really hitting the wall coming off turn number 2, and when that happens, it almost ricochets them back into the racetrack, and they get really snappy loose.
Yeah, but Danny Rogers, despite hitting the wall, has broken up to 15 hits belt.
Yeah, that washed up the racetrack, and that's going to give the beneficiary on the bottom to Brian Yazek. Man, Danny Rogers looks like he's kind of, it looks like he's going to go on pit road here. Oh, he washes up the track.
Oh, able to not hit anyone.
He spun out. Danny Rogers spun out at the entrance of pit road.
Yeah, it won't bring out a caution because it's not on the racetrack. Battle for the lead shaping up. Krobach is running down Hayes. He's using up all the racetrack.
Definitely, he's doing everything he can to try to get that lead. He knows he can win this race. He started back in 22nd, and with everything that has happened to Krobach today, could have been worse, but it's not. He's got a perfectly pretty much clean race truck, maybe a little scratch here and there from earlier incidents, but right now he's hunting the lead of Brody Hayes.
Yeah, he was meant to start 22nd, but then he actually got an EOL at the start. He started last, and he's trying to win it there from last place. He's got 31 laps to get it done. All he's got to do is get by this number 37 truck, but, I mean, that's literally the hardest level in your video game, and you could make some comparisons there. But as these two battle, Jordan Erickson is reeling them in from third.
Oh yeah, we definitely ain't playing Skyrim today, folks. No way. We are turning laps on the uneven monster mile. Like your truck is never even on this racetrack whatsoever. So these guys they're doing an excellent job on handling their race trucks, even though they have some damage here and there. But not too far behind is Jordan Erickson. He has been catching up to these top two guys.
Yeah, boy, all of these trucks have been involved in some kind of incident today. Jason Matzel spun his tyres on the restart, ran in 4th place. I think he's probably the first and maybe the only truck without a scratch on that thing. I think Miles Munster got upset by me calling him Richard earlier on. He thought he was a bit better than that. But as we approach the final quarter distance of this race, we are shaping up for perhaps even a 4-way battle for the lead.
Oh yeah, looks like we are. Michael Krobach, he's going to try it. He's going to the inside down in turn number 3. Can he make it stick? No, he cannot. He's going to have to try again, maybe down back in turn number 1. Let's see if he does it here. I don't think so.
Yeah, it takes more than one turn to make a pass stick, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, right now you're kind of hoping that Brody Hayes will just mess up. It's like, okay, I've caught the leader. Now it's trying to understand how I can pass him.
Jordan Erickson wasn't able to find a way by, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
definitely.
Where is Erickson now? He's in 3rd. Yeah, so he'll have that pressure in his memory, won't he?
Recovery from Jeffrey Belt, who is 3.1 seconds of the guys ahead of him. That's a top 4 cars you can put a blanket over. But meanwhile, Jeffrey Belt in 5th, Brian Yazek 6th, Gary Whitson in 7th, Jamie Moore 8th, Nick Cohan 9th, and Jeffrey Gilliam rounding out the top 10.
Usually this is the point where I'd say, well, let's give a shout out to drive in the top 10 we haven't mentioned today, but I think all of these drivers in the top 10 we've mentioned today, whether they've been involved in a tense battle or involved in the wall a little bit, definitely been action-packed, but also credit for these top 10 drivers for keeping it up there in the top 10 today. Maybe aided by the fact that we only have 14 trucks left on the lead lap after that massive pile-up early on in the race. It's been pretty clean and green since then, though. Couple of incidents in the action. Right now, though, it doesn't look like we're about to have any. They're all running single file throughout the whole track, really. But definitely some battles shaping up, especially up front.
Battles are trying to shape up here, yeah, especially up front, and I am not really seeing one truck out there on the racetrack that has some kind of damage. You got Brody Hayes, who has some rear spoiler damage that isn't really affecting him, but if you really want to try to say or ask yourself who is the cleanest trucks out there on the racetrack, well, I'm going to have to go with 2 trucks, and that is number 7, Michael Krobach, and number 88 of Jordan Erickson.
I think Matzel.
I'm hearing somebody hit the wall.
Yeah, Matzel got a piece of a wall. I was about to say, I think Matzel has a truck cleaner than theirs, but he just took that back by hitting the wall out of turn 4 that time by.
Yeah, he's brushed it there, and oh man. I think we're putting commentator's curse here today, Sam.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I think also there's just the fact of everyone's brushed the wall at some point during this race. We're bound to call it sometime sooner or later. Curtis Aho, meanwhile, was running in 14th place. Last car on the lead lap came into pits, I guess, for repairs. Oh, actually, he didn't pit under the last caution, did he? He was waiting for another caution, so it didn't work.
Yeah, it looks like he took the wave around, I believe, under that last caution, but didn't really pay off as we have this long green flag run. If we do get a caution, ladies and gentlemen, it will be Josh Tanner getting the beneficiary. Lucky dog.
Battle for fifth, shaping up. Jeffrey Belt did not get a good run off of turn 4. Brian Yazik is all over him, trying to break back into the top 5.
Ryan Yazik may have damage, but he's still hunting. I'm telling you, if he can get by Jeffrey Belt there, you could say you had a solid day despite being one of the fastest trucks on the racetrack. I mean, like I said, he was 13th fastest in practice. Even more cars are hitting the wall in the front stretch. Seeing some cars just brushing it there. Could have been Jamie Moore or Gary Whitson. But back on the Brian Yazik topic there, he was the 13th fastest in the practice session, and he was only a 10th off the fastest car in that practice. So, I mean, you got a pretty much even truck than the race leader, who was Brody Hayes, or I should say Nick Cohan was the fastest in practice. But I'm telling you, you're still hunting. Still got some damage, but you're still hunting.
Yeah, Nick Cohan, meanwhile, is mine back in 10th place after getting involved in that little incident earlier while battling in the top 5. Battle for second shaping up. Ericsson looking down the inside of Crowbar can actually go 3 wide there almost as they go by the lap truck of Jonathan Holstein. This battle for second is shaping up, and that will allow Brody Hayes to run away a little bit.
That'll allow Brody Hayes to run away a little bit, but that will also allow Johnny Matzel to catch up. So if these guys go side by side and they battle for a couple laps, that's going to help out Jason Matzel, but it'll also help Brody Hayes by saying, see ya.
Yeah, and we're approaching 15 laps left to go here. Reminder, caution with about 5 or 6 laps left to go would end it in the series. No green, white checkers in iRacing. Hopefully we won't see a caution that late. We might see a caution before then, the way this battle for second is shaken up.
Well, Sam, what do you think? You think these drivers might be doing some pit stops later going in the race, or probably just stay out? I'm telling you, these guys are coming up on their about 22nd run since the last caution, since they pitted, and approximately about 8 laps from now, it was probably the green flag pit open window that these guys were coming into pits for. With 85 out of 100 laps, there we go.
Crowbar gets spun by Ericsson. They both go. Matzel from third goes as well. Matzel comes back up the track, stops in front of the rest of the leaders. Jonathan Holstein, the lap truck, has to come to a stop.
Commentator's curse, I bet. Dead, gone.
So, who got through? Crowbar is in second, Belt is in third. Gary Whitson in fourth. Matzel was actually passing trucks to try and regain a couple positions.
Oh man, catching lap cars at the wrong point, at the wrong place at the wrong time, but I wouldn't want to put that in Aaron Kleinhans. Looks like Jordan Erickson just got underneath the left rear quarter panel of Michael Krobach, and from there on, it was just an incident coming to the front stretch.
And all the leaders are coming into the pits because they'll have about 10 laps left to go when they restart, but it's going to be no contest for Hayes off of pit road, because the leaders were involved in the incident that really broke up the field when they entered the pits. Brody Hayes is several truck lengths over the rest of the field as they come down pit road.
Nick Cohan, the fastest car in practice, who qualified 8th today, stays out, and he was on the lead lap. We got a bunch of cars that from the back here, Sam, that stayed out.
Yeah, Nick Cohan, Chris Drin, and Jackie Pelmore. Brody Hayes obviously wins the race off of pit road, will restart 4th. Man, if just one of those top 3 would pit, Hayes would be on the inside, and I think he could get the win. Restarting in 4th place isn't going to be a good place, and I just don't like the closing stages with 3 drivers at the front of the field having old tyres. I guarantee you one of them would spin them. We'll see if any of them decide to pit here.
And I don't know, if you're trying to go for wins right now, man, it looks like Nick Cohan's staying out. Chris Ginn is in. Oh, maybe not.
But Jackie Palmore does come in, and that's huge. That means Brody Hayes will get to restart on the inside. If they make it to turn 3, Nick Cohan's a sitting duck.
Yeah, if Brody Hayes starting third, I hate to tell Nick, but Nick, that third place has been given the advantage pretty much just as much as the race leader all race long. So I don't know, but hey, it's a gamble call. We got about 12, 13 laps to go right now, and we're under caution. Hope for the best.
Cohan's best, and I hate to put this on him, but the best thing for Nick Cohan right now is Chris Ginn. Because Chris Ginn is not going to have a desired line, he doesn't have a desired position for the restart, and on those old tyres I think he's going to fall back, and that could mix things up a little bit. If that brings a caution flag out pretty soon, not necessarily saying it would be Ginn's fault, but it could, Jim dropping back a couple positions on the restart could certainly mix up some things. That would bide Cohan a little bit of time. In other words, I think the only way Cohan's going to win this race is if there's two quick cautions. But then again, Cohan can afford to take this gamble because he already has a win. So he's locked into the chase. He's only out there racing for wins. And if he came in and got 4 tyres, he sure as heck wasn't going to win this race that way.
Yeah, the way it's looking is Brody Hayes is starting third, and we know, and we've already documented today on how effective that third place is compared to the race leader. Meanwhile, Chris Ginn, who's also stayed out, is on the outside row, and that outside row does not get a good restart. So with 4 fresh tires compared to no tires, I think Brody Hayes is going to clear the number 10 of Chris Ginn, but yet again, Michael Krobach is sitting in 4th, and he's behind Chris Ginn, so he's going to have to try to get to the inside as quickly as possible if there's an opening. So I think this is going to be Brody Hayes' race to lose.
A quick caution is what Nick Cohan will want, and the pace car lights off on the pace car. We will know by the time they get to turn 3 next time whether Hayes has won this race or not. Or maybe not. If Cohan's still leading, there might be another chance. But here we go. Pace car is off. Cohan has control of the field. Ginn is going to try and prove us wrong and get a good restart on that high side. But he does run the risk of spinning tyres. Here they come out of turn 4. Cohan gets a good restart. Ginn doesn't get a horrible one, but doesn't get a great one.
Yeah, and like I said, Brody Hayes cleared the second place of Chris Ginn. Chris Ginn shoots up the racetrack. They are 3 wide. Holy cow, a lot of activity going on. Oh, man, Jeffrey Bell almost clipped them. Oh, they're wrecking Jeffrey Bell. They're wrecking. Big wreck.
Somehow, most of the field avoids hitting Belt. And now at the back of the field, they finally pile in. But the middle of the field did a pretty good job. So, Hayes and now things are looking like Crowbot could win this race.
Man, it looks like Chris Ginn may have scraped the outside wall and then ricocheted back into the racetrack, clipped Jeffrey Belt. And is that Jordan Erickson that got involved in it? Oh yeah, he got clipped into it. Wow, Bryce Whitson. I was wondering if we could maybe get a onboard camera, or not Bryce, I think that's Gary Whitson. An onboard of Gary there, scooting on the outside lane there.
Our 6th caution of the race.
Gary Whitson here. Off turn number 2, wrecking ahead of him. Chooses the outside lane. Yow! That's pretty close.
I think the worst. There he is, Nick Cohan. I think he's the worst off from this caution coming out when it did, because he's in 2nd now, as we see a driver getting away around there. I think that's Danny Rogers. Michael Krobach is restarting 3rd. That's the place you want to be restarting. If they can make it green to turn 3, Krobach will take a lead and probably take a win. If they can't make it green to turn 3, we might still have time to get another restart in, actually.
We might, but the way it's looking, the green's gonna come out with less than 7 laps to go, and if a caution does come out, I think that's end that's the end of the race. Because usually at the end, about 6 laps to go, usually races don't get restarted. So with iRacing not having the green-white checkered system, and I think Michael Krobach, he can get there to Brody Hayes. It's just a matter of trying to find a way to pass him. Who knows? Maybe pull the old bump and run move on him. I'm just not unsure, but we will see what happens here in the next few laps.
I almost wonder if Kobach will just roll out from third place and let Kohan stay second, just in case there is another caution. He can be in the... What the heck is going on here? They're all mixing it up down the front straight, not really sure why. Yeah, they're just dancing.
Yeah, probably just playing around just a little bit. Oh, Krobach! Actually, Krobach, okay. Krobach, I thought maybe had some kind of hardware issue. He was about to shoot up the track down in turn number 1. Looks like he's got everything under control.
Well, the good news is I think Krobach will go for it on this restart, because it looks like with the pace car lights being on, we'll restart with 6 laps left to go. I expect them to go off at the completion of this lap. And as you say, Tanner, if a caution came out on the restart lap, they would get back behind the pace car with 5 to go. 4-lap caution would mean we get a restart with a 1 to go. This series doesn't do that, so they would just add an extra lap of caution. So in other words, another caution unfortunately does look like it would end this race. We'll see how long they can keep green. Hayes will be hoping for a caution as soon as possible.
I believe my math is correct that if the pace lights go off this time by, we will get the 7 to go mark. So we should be able to go green with about 5-6 laps to go here. And if a caution does come out, the race is over. That's just the way I'm gathering up from everything here, trying to do the math here on what iRacing does. So with that all being said, I believe this will be the final restart. Try to get everything you can.
But the pace car lights are off, so as we mentioned, Tanner, we'll be restarting with 6 to go. Do you think these drivers can keep it clean? Christian is still out there on those old tyres.
Yeah, what would you do there, Sam, if you were in this position of Michael Krobach? Try to go for the win and try to put a little bumper to him to move him up the racetrack just a little bit, or would you be pretty content with the second place if you can't shake Brody Hayes out of the way?
Well, Hayes then... Kohan's already got a win and he's already in the top 20 in points. Krobach, because of his attendance, isn't even in the top 20 in points. Hayes is, but he doesn't have a win this season. Hayes and Krobach are both going to be going for a win. Kohan, I mean, he'll be going for a win too, but he doesn't need it as much as these two. We're about to find out. Here we go. Pace car lights are off. 6 laps left to go. Pace car's about to make a hard left turn. Hayes will have control of the field, Hannah.
Yeah, pace car down pit road. Are you ready, racing fans or sim racing fans all over the world? Here on the Global Sim Racing channel, Brody Hayes on the loud pedal, green flag. We are back racing. What an impressive restart by Nick Cohan. Jamie Moore hits the wall from the 4th spot. They might be wrecking. No caution is out. They're all trying to gather it out. Right now, I'm surprised Nick Cohan came out in front of Michael Krobach.
Yeah, Krobach got a horrible restart right at the worst time. He really needed a good one, and Kohan's trying... But these two battling for second is allowing Hayes to run away.
Yeah, I think that's too much of a big gap for Michael Krobach to catch Brody Hayes there, Sam. And man, oh man, Nick Cohan did everything he could.
Yeah, and Brian Jarzik up into 3rd place. Boy, Cohan is really dropping back now.
Brian Jarzik, where did he come from? He's like the Kevin Harvick of this race, for goodness sakes. But with just 4 laps to go this time by, it looks like Brody Hayes might have this in the book. But yet again, I've seen some stranger things happen, so it's definitely not over yet.
He pulled away 2/10 that lap. Oh boy, Nick Cohan and Ericsson got close to bringing out caution there in turns 1 and 2, battling for 5th place.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they almost wrecked right there, but thankfully they didn't. But here's the kicker, everybody. Michael Krobach is losing the race leader, Brody Hayes, but Brian Jarzik is gaining on 2nd place, Michael Krobach. So what's some crazy change of events that we really didn't talk a whole much about. We thought it was going to be a good old side-by-side battle between Michael Krobach and Brody Hayes.
Yeah, I think Jarzik will get this because Jarzik's usually good at finishing in second position. 2 laps left to go as Brody Hayes comes out of turn 4, crosses the line. He's got the racetrack all to himself.
Yeah, definitely. Michael Krobach doing everything he can to catch it. Is now a 1.1 second gap that Brody Hayes has put on Krobach. But meanwhile, Jarzik is not too far behind. He's got about a lap and a half to catch Krobach, and I don't know if it's going to happen. Too much of a big gap.
Huge wad of cars battling for about 9th place. They're about two wide, 2 rows deep, but the leaders started the final lap, so even if they all wreck, a caution will not fly. The white flag is in the air. Brody Hayes is going down the back straight. He has his track all to himself. Who can believe that he does not have a win yet this season? That will only last for about 5 more seconds. Hayes comes out of a final turn, takes a well-earned victory today at Dover.
What a race, what a finish here at Dover. It was getting a little crazy there for a split second on them restarts there, but no, everybody held their own together. Some drivers lost positions and some drivers gained positions. And Brian Yazzie getting on the radio that he's happy with a 3rd place finish.
And I want to give a shout out to Chris Ginn. I was very critical of his strategy to stay out there on all tires and restart second, but not only did he keep it clean on that final restart, but he brought home a top 10 finish. Finished in 10th place after starting 24th and being 22nd fastest in practice. So no wonder he's staying out on the front straight. Chris Ginn probably feels like doing a few burnouts. I'm sure Brody Hayes is about to do a few too. Well, we'll be back to talk to our top finishers here at Dover International Speedway, and we'll also be back with a full race rundown. Don't go away. You're watching the Global Sim Racing Channel. Hello and welcome back to Dover International Speedway, where we just saw one of the best races of the season here, in my opinion. Saw a bit of beating and banning, racing everywhere, and at the end of the day, the winner was a deserved one. It was Mr. Brody Hayes. After about an hour of racing action, brought it home 1.76 seconds under the green flag, ahead of Michael Kobach. Brian Jarzik, nice comeback there to finish in third place. But how about Josh Tanner? A great comeback after being a lap down early on in the race. He started 25th, he finished in 4th. Jordan Eriksson salvaged the 5th place finish ahead of Jeffrey Gilliam, and Mark Myers didn't really give him a shout out during the race. He brought home a nice 7th place there. Nick Cohan, Gary Whitson and Chris Trin on all tyres round out the top 10.
And outside the top 10, in the 11th position tonight, is Jason Matzel, who maybe coulda, shoulda, woulda finished in the top 10, but unfortunately tonight he does not. He'll finish 11th. Jamie Moore had a couple of incidents tonight. He will come out into the 12th position. Robert Barney was a front runner earlier who had some hardware issues, technical difficulties. He'll finish 13th, 2 laps down, and these drivers, upcoming drivers, are plenty of laps down or more, and that is Danny Rogers in 14th, Edward Bray in 15th, Austin Missler in 16th, Jeffrey Belt in 17th, Milt Matisse in 18th, 19th is Jackie Palmore, and rounding out the top 20 is Curtis Aho.
Aaron Cleanarns was also involved in a heavy incident early on, but brought home a 21st place finish. Tim Knott was involved in the initial contact with Brian Jarzik that triggered that multi-truck incident. He comes home in 22nd. Tom Freitas and Alan Young behind them, then Jonathan Holstein. These are all drivers who were caught up in the big one. Sam Maxwell, Troy Haight, Bryce Whitson, Travis McQueestron, Michael Koenig and Norm Pelletier were involved in our first incident of the day. Well, we have caught up with some drivers post-race here, beginning with our second place finisher. Tanner has called up on Michael Kobach.
Michael Krobach, tonight you finished in the second position here at the Dover International Speedway, and man, you had a whale of a run all race long. You technically qualified 22nd, had to start from the rear due to an EOL penalty, and you stay out under that one caution, and all of a sudden mayhem just exploded with cars on the front stretch. Take us a little walk through in a driver's seat and what you're thinking at the time, all your strategy calls. Just take us through your race pretty much.
Yeah, Tanner, we've had a heck of a truck season, not in a good way either. Had some bad luck with some wrecks and missed a couple races with some other commitments, and just haven't had any good luck. And last time at Richmond, I had an incident there and had to start tailback at this race. And I wanted to just, take it easy and, see, where the race would unfold and what would happen at the beginning. And then we had an early caution there around lap 9, and everybody ducked down pit road. And I figured, hey, I'm running 27th. If I, stay out and take the lead here, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to drop 27 spots. So anything would be a net gain there. And so that strategy call got us up into the top 5. And we rode up there pretty good. We held on no tires compared to everybody else, cycled back around 6th. And then had a couple cautions fall our way and got on even tires. And it was a race on from there. And we were pretty fast. The HPP simulation Chevrolet was, solid top 3 car. I was, pretty close with Brody, just could never really get by him. And then we had an incident there around lap 85. I got dumped off of turn 4, and that damaged our truck. But I wanted to be on GSRC tonight, and I, didn't bother to fix that damage and just came out there and hoped for the best, and we ran second.
Well, we always enjoy talking to you, Michael. And speaking of those old tires that you just explained, tell me, was there a huge advantage on? And I can understand there was at the time, but let's just say after the first 10 laps of a race of the race, is a tire wear significantly big here at Dover?
You know, the first 1 or 2 laps, you can tell a difference, and it's a lot faster if you have new tires. But if everybody's on 10 lap, you know, if you're 10 laps into a run and stuff, it kind of starts to even out. So we dropped when we stayed out there to get that lead. We dropped about 5 or 6 spots at the beginning, but then it kind of equalized, and we just hung in there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it looked like the 4 fresh tires was the advantage way to go, but also, since you only dropped down to 6th position, I guess it was well worth taking. And speaking of you finishing second tonight, you were pretty much trying to battle with Brody Hayes all night long. It looked like you were trying to get by him one way or another or somehow, but he kept feeding off that bottom lane. Was it hard to really pass with these trucks here at Dover?
You know, Dover's a track where you can pass, but I think Brody and I were just pretty even speed-wise, and he didn't make any mistakes really when he was out front of me. And you know, I learned a little bit on his line. You know, he kind of hooked the apron a little bit to help the truck rotate off the corner, and I was doing that too. And we were running pretty much the same lap time, so it was really hard to get past him. He's a good racer. He and his teammate Nick Cohan are fun to race with, and you know, we were battling up front at the end, and so hats off to Brody and DC Motorsports for getting another win. But good night for the number 7 HPP Simulation Chevrolet for Woodson Motorsports.
Well, Michael, before we let you go for the night here, is there anything else you would like to add about your race before we let you go?
Yeah, we came in here 40th in the points. We left Richmond after a penalty, negative 14 points from that race, and so we got to battle to get back in that top 25 and get a win at some point in the season if we want to make the chase. But I'm not throwing the towel in yet, and everybody's going to have to deal with that number 7 truck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you certainly look strong tonight and certainly proved it to everybody out there who's ran tonight. So thank you for coming to talk with us, Michael, and congratulations on your 2nd place finish.
Thanks, Tanner. Have a good night.
Well, Sam, that was Michael Krobach finishing 2nd tonight, and I believe you have caught up with Nick Cohan, who attempted to try to stay out to win the race.
Yeah, Nick Cohan played some late strategy there. It didn't quite work out, though. He dropped back to 8th position at the end of the race, but good racing out there tonight, Nick.
Yeah, thanks. Actually gained from the previous race where I was at before that caution, so it was still a positive gain from the yellow. I think I was 11th when the caution came out, so I figured it's going to be at least one more caution, and worked out all right. Gained 3 more spots. It's 3 more points towards the championship. So, yeah, it was a fun race.
Yeah, I was saying when you were kind of mixing up with Brody Hayes and Michael Krobach in the late stages there, that Hayes and Krobach didn't have a win yet this season, and you did. Was that in the back of your mind that you were racing them a bit more respectively, or were you going for the win just as much as they were?
Well, Brody's my teammate, so I was pushing for him, you know, obviously the most to get the win there. And we tried some, you know, we had good strategy there to, you know, get him the win tonight so that we're both locked in a chase, and it literally worked to perfection tonight. You know, we wanted to be the final 2 cars on the front row on the final restart of the race, and we were the front 2, well, 1st and 3rd, so it worked out pretty good, pretty close to what we wanted to happen. But the main goal was to get him a win, and I knew I had too much damage. There was no way I was going to win it anyway. But you know, congrats to Brody and Mike and Brian, the top 3. It was a good race up there.
Yeah, talk us through that incident coming off turn 4 that one lap. You were alongside another track, and then you ended up hitting a couple of trucks on your way down the front straight, but somehow didn't wreck.
Yeah, Jordan seems to be one of the most impatient drivers in the league. He dumped about 3 trucks trying to pass him. I don't think he passed a truck without hitting it tonight, so, you know, kind of used to it, but just disrespectful. We'll race him the same way, no big deal. You know, I race a lot of guys out here respectfully, and they do the same to me. And people who aren't going to race me respectful, I guess we'll just, you know, see how the rest of the season goes.
Yeah, we will see. And next week we'll be at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Is that a track where you think you'll be able to pick off another W?
Yeah, it's one of my, that type of track is probably my best, but Charlotte just never been good to me. Just whether it's bad luck, pit strategy, and whatnot. But that Charlotte is a fun track to run in the trucks, especially in the trucks. It's you can run the middle groove and the bottom groove, and you have a lot of good racing. And you start off in iRacing running Charlotte in the trucks, and that's where you learn from. So I've turned a lot of laps there, and so is everybody else here. And I think we're gonna have a really good race there. It should be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, we look forward to it, and I know not everything went to plan for you tonight, Nick, but thanks for helping us put on the great show. It was a great race up here in the broadcast booth, and we look forward to seeing you back in action next week. Thanks,
Sam. Thanks, Tanner, and just got to thank Dizzy Motorsports, K&N, CJ Automotive, and Steel Horse Racing, and everybody else that puts this together.
Alright, so that was our 8th place finisher tonight, Nick Cohan. He already has a win earlier this season that has locked him into the chase. Brody Hayes finally got that elusive victory that had long been escaping him tonight, Tanner. And heck, I hope these drivers put on another show like we saw tonight next week at Charlotte.
Yeah, definitely. There's some exciting racing, a bunch of exciting battles out there for position, and I'm hopefully looking forward to the same side-by-side battles at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We are in the home of NASCAR's backyard playground next week at Charlotte, so it's definitely going to be some fun racing there, and some drivers are happy to come out of Dover, some aren't, but hey, Charlotte next week, time to go get them.
And we will be back here at 9 p.m. Eastern Time next Wednesday to cover that race. Before we hand up the mics tonight, we would like to thank the organisers and the competitors in the iROC HPP Simulation Truck Series for coming here tonight and putting on a great show. Thanks to the makers of the various software and hardware that you see listed on your screen, and also to the team today, Tanner Sharp, Joe Peak, and our camera guru, Dougie Beard, and also Richard Losper. He deserves a shout out for doing a lot behind the scenes as well, and I probably made one too many jokes about the monster tonight about him. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter, GSR Channel, and Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. A special thanks also goes out to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide us with our music. Buy Eric's on iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Be sure to check those out. All of our upcoming races for the series are on screen, so be sure to check those out and mark them down on your calendar. And I apologise for that there. Don't miss another second of exciting racing action. Our director probably doesn't know what I'm laughing. Okay, race green, race hard. We'll see you on the track next time. Bye for now.